one determined survivor, one nonchalant boyfriend, a love-struck jock, a sweet art tutor, the DJ that jokes out of anxiety, the loner at the tip of a love triangle, an influencer drama queen, a meek follower, and the strong-willed and quick-witted one. These are all player characters for the Quarry, and the subjects of today's video. My name is Nicole Bryn, and welcome back to the Quarry Querent, where we take deep dives into this video game. Now today we're going to be going into the profiles of all of the camp counselors to decide if the game had only one survivor, who would it be? And in my opinion, what the order of deaths would be. You'll want to check out my first installment of this series for a summary and review, but for now, let's get into each of the counselors, starting with Laura Kearney. All of the counselors are out of high school, most going to college or graduate school, as some are older. After the summer's over, we learn that Laura plans to attend veterinary school, a graduate school, where she'd likely succeed because she is said to be very smart, hardworking, and resourceful. She is the nurse at the camp. We can see from the game that she never gives up when it matters to her. She deciphers the curse poem quite quickly and easily. Choices from the player allow her to be sassy and argumentative or calm and reassuring, but despite player choices, Laura will always be independent, strong-willed, confident, and heroic. These attributes make her kind of the lead protagonist, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't come with her faults like everyone else does. She can be quite stubborn.
What's there?
Hackett's Quarry.
How'd you do that?
I don't know, I kind of tricked him into showing me.
Very slick. Are you sure we shouldn't just get to the motel and just listen to this guy's advice?
Honey, you really want to listen to the advice of some creep-ass cop who told us in the middle of the creep-ass woods to go to some creep-ass hotel?
She seems to take more rash decisions without thinking it through fully. To be fair, they are on a time limit before sunrise, and that's the structure of the game, but she will kill any werewolf without any actual proof that it's Chris.
What the fuck?
Did she shoot at us?
That's Kaylee Hackett.
Mr. H's daughter? I thought she went home with her brother.
Because her goal is to kill Chris so that all the other werewolves will become uncursed. But she doesn't really think about who the werewolf might be. There's a moment where Ryan has to stop her from killing Nick in his werewolf form.
Is she crazy? Wait!
It's him!
Think about it. Why would they lock him in a cage?
Then who the hell is it?
Who the hell is she?
And I guess you can't blame her anger towards the Hackett family, but she doesn't really look at their point of view and understand that they're also victims in this. If you watched my Hackett family video, then you'll know that I don't really like them. They can be more hostile than necessary, but so is Laura. She was bitten by the point that she confronts a lot of the Hacketts, so it could just be the infection coursing through her veins, but she leans towards killing the Hacketts if the player doesn't stop her. Laura also kind of acts like the counselors are a means to an end. They're people who can help her in stopping this curse, but if any of them get hurt along the way, it just kind of is what it is. She seems to form a sort of friendship with Ryan at least, but overall, it doesn't seem like she cares about them too much, sometimes making it seem like she only really cares about herself and her boyfriend Max. Max Brindley low-key has golden retriever energy. He's very friendly, loyal, nonchalant. He works as the all-rounder at the camp, helping multiple activity stations and scheduling. He is described as a class clown and a bit of an airhead as he gets distracted while driving, which leads to the crash.
Everything okay?
Yeah, all good. Hey,
Eyes on the road, mister.
And when Laura asks him to get the tools, he grabs just a couple tools instead of just grabbing the whole toolbox.
Wait, what are these?
I don't know, you just said tools.
Why didn't you just bring...
The Quarry official website considers Max to have a lack of ambition, which does cause turmoil with his relationship with Laura, because the two of them plan to go to graduate school together in the fall, but Max is rejected from the school they plan to go to. He also lets Laura take the lead a lot of the time, which I suspect comes from a lack of confidence. I mean, he is embarrassed that he was rejected from the school, and it probably does affect his self-esteem, which is understandable, but he does kind of lack the initiative during the game, which, to be fair, he doesn't really know what's going on for most of the game, but I'll get to that later. Now let's talk about the camp counselors who were attending the summer camp during the summer when Laura and Max were in fake jail. Starting with Jacob Custos. Jacob, sweet Jacob, he's an idiot. And I mean this in the nicest way, it's just that he's a very typical jock. He's very sporty, but he's also kind of clumsy, as he runs into quite a few of the Hackett family's traps.
Fuck! Shit! Ah, fuck! Ah, shit!
He is a little self-centered, obnoxious, but charming and fun. He does genuinely want everybody to have a good time. Yes, he doesn't understand that a party may not be the epitome of fun for everyone, but he is trying and he does care. He can also be a bit of a love bug, at least towards Emma, the girl that he had been having a fling with over the summer. They agreed to just have a bit of unserious fun where nothing would happen afterwards, but Jacob kind of fell for her, which you can't blame anybody for their emotions, but it's the actions he takes that's like, Jacob, no. He sabotages the car for her, which leads them into staying the night, which causes the whole werewolf thing, which he didn't know that was gonna happen. But still...
Okay, so, total hypothetical, but if I was like a huge asshole and I wanted to break down the van so we'd have to spend another night here, what exactly would I need to do?
Well, you'd probably break the fuel line, or, I don't know, rip out the rotor arm. And yes, that would make you a total asshole. Jake, you do realize that even if we somehow did get stuck out here, one more night with Emma wouldn't make a difference. Trust me, Chick's made up her mind.
Yeah. Sure. Guess we'll just have to find out.
In a special cutscene that takes specific choices to find, Jacob actually confesses to Emma, and she's reasonably upset.
I gotta come clean.
What do you mean?
Shit. Emma. Look, it's my fault we're stuck out here.
Oh, Jacob.
I messed with the van.
You know, when I realized we were staying another night, this is exactly what I worried about.
I know. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Okay? I wanted to spend... I wanted to spend one more night with you. You know, together, like before.
No, I still have feelings for you, Jacob, but this was a summer fling. That's it. We're not good together. We're just not.
Emma is clear from the start that she doesn't want anything serious. It'll just be a summer fling, and she doesn't want a relationship with Jacob. But he doesn't respect that, which is not cool. Listen to women. Now, Emma Montebank can be performative and flirtatiously tease Jacob, but she communicated her feelings to Jacob and never acted like it could be something more. She's self-assured, a talented actress, being the theater counselor, and sometimes playing up her personality for others or her audience as an influencer. She explains that this is what people want of her, and she does this so that people don't get upset, which is really sad. She has a hard time being serious, but it comes from this insecurity. She's confident but worries what people will think of her, kind of trying to be the center of attention because, one, she does like it, two, she uses drama as a way to tease out the best and worst of everyone around her so they can be honest, and three, uses performance to cheer people up. She is an honest communicator. As I said, she's clear on her intentions with Jacob, but may not share everything that she's feeling because of her insecurities, even to her best friend, maybe crush, Abigail Bligh. Abigail, who is mostly referred to as Abigail, can be described as a shy and quiet artist with an eye for detail. She's very talented but doesn't realize that herself. Like every artist, she worries that her art isn't good enough despite the countless hours of work she always puts in. We see her drawing several times just because she enjoys it, and even her simple sketches are quite good. Abby is socially awkward, but said to be a good art counselor who is always kind and sincere. And I said maybe Emma has a crush on Abby, and maybe Abby does too, just by the way that they both idolize and say they can't be without each other. Of course, that is totally fine for a friendship, but Abby's sketches of Emma look more like something I'd make if I was infatuated with the subject of the drawings.
I need you. And maybe I'm just afraid that you'll realize you don't need me. You're my best friend.
But maybe this is just my need for more queer representation, and I'm not as much of a fan as Abby's love interest, Nick. The official website describes Nicholas Nick Furcillo as a heartthrob who's soft-spoken with a good blend of attractiveness, sportiness, and nerdiness, but I'd consider him more meek. He is the camp cook and kitchen supervisor. He is definitely a follower. He follows in the footsteps of the guys around him to seem more cool. He most notably follows the lead of Jacob, but also Dylan. It's very clear that Nick has insecurities related to this because he's afraid to let his guard down and let people in because really he's more awkward than he pretends to be. The only person that he starts to let in is Abby because they have crushes on each other. She tells him that she'd like him more if he was more authentic, and that is reasonable because he is afraid to be anything other than what people around him are.
That wasn't actually the first time we met. We met at orientation on the first day.
We did?
Yeah, there was like a million people. But honestly, you kind of seem like a dick. I said hi and you barely acknowledged me.
Shit, I'm sorry. I've had my moments. I'm not proud of some of the stuff I've done.
That'll be Jacob's influence.
Yeah, I tend to just fall in line when he's around.
You're not Jacob. Don't try to be Jacob. Who wants to be Jacob?
Girls are into Jacob.
Not the cool ones.
It can be a bit hard to fully explore Nick's personality because he is the first bitten, you can't get around that. So he is infected for most of the game, and the infection changes his demeanor, which makes him more aggressive. The actor who plays Nick explains this to us on an Instagram story where he states, "The bite doesn't bring out worse characteristics. They alter them. He wasn't an asshole trying to be a nice guy. He's a nice guy who lacks confidence, always trying to fit in but not really able to because he's not being authentic." And I can't really fault him for that because, as Evan says, most people at that age are trying to find themselves. I think Nick's on that journey. So yes, many of the characters are like that, but I think it's the influences he follows that make him one of my least favorites. I'm so sorry. But he can be overprotective at times and thinks he has to hide his emotions in order to act tough. He engages in some of these toxic masculinity traits sometimes. Not that he can't grow from it, but you can understand why this kind of irks me. Now let's move from one of my least favorite counselors to one of my favorites, Dylan Lenevy, the camp announcer and DJ, as he was in charge of the PA system. He is definitely a jokester with laid-back energy. He is very social and uses a lot of sarcastic jokes. And I need to know what it means that Abby found the vial of vampire blood, smelled it, and asked if it was Dylan's. What does that mean? Is it just because he's a prankster? I need to know.
Ugh. Ew, what is that? Is it Dylan's? Ugh.
But anyway, people describe him as an oddball, and I think that comes from his anxiety, which he talks to Ryan about. He's secretly a big science guy. He went to this camp as a camper when he was younger, and at the time the radio station was broken and he actually fixed it up, so Mr. Hackett allowed him to run it, which is why he runs it today. Music is still a passion of his, but he considers it more of a hobby, as he plans to go to college for a degree in quantum physics. He is more passionate about science than music, but he does blend these two passions to keep the radio hot running. In the face of danger, Dylan is brave and selfish. He will sacrifice himself for Caitlin. He will frantically try to get her to leave him when he is turning into a werewolf.
I'm not leaving you. Dylan?
Run out!
No, but...
Go! Fucking run! Run away, Caleb! Get away from me!
Then there's Ryan Ezler. He runs the sailing activities. He is a quiet loner, literally ignoring Jacob when he tries to speak to Ryan.
Hey, what are you listening to? Good to know.
But he was listening to his favorite podcast, Bizarre Yet Bonafide. He is a horror fan, even sharing horror stories to kids that genuinely scare them, but it's just because he doesn't realize that the stories actually do scare kids. Although he is overall very responsible, the Quarry owner, Chris Hackett, fully trusts him. He can be stoic and charming, he has the heart of a hero, but wants to prove himself to those around him, at least a little bit more authentically than some of the others. And despite Ryan's loner personality, he attracts the attention of fellow counselors. Bunk 7 deems him the most attractive counselor, and most notably, Dylan and Caitlin have crushes on him. While playing as Ryan, we have the choice of which of the two he will kiss, and this kind of decides who he'll be more romantically engaging with throughout the rest of the game.
What about your friend, Caitlin? Is that her name? It seems like she looks up to you.
Yeah, she has the hots for me. Dylan does too. They're not exactly secretive about it.
So what about you? Who do you like more?
I don't know.
Like I said, Caitlin Kott is part of this love triangle. She is a mischievous and confident counselor who coordinates the camp activities and scheduling. She is described as the wild card of the group, but naturally fits into the role of leader. She has the most weapon knowledge, always being the ranking winner of the camp shooting competition.
I don't think anyone knocked Caitlin out of first place all summer.
Caitlin is a badass who takes the lead when the werewolves come out, using her wits to outsmart and outmaneuver these werewolves. She is very adaptable, but also kind of puts the weight of everything on her own shoulders. She may have worries about the situation, but she doesn't voice them unless they're important. to the others because she doesn't want to add to their worries. Caitlin is definitely a protector, but not overbearing, taking the initiative to scope things out and reasonably be responsible for one of the guns, as she has the most weapon knowledge. And that is all 9 of the counselors. So now that we have taken a deep look at each of these character profiles, we can decide in what order would be most likely for them to die. Now let me be clear, I do love these characters. They're all really well written and acted. I do like all of them. I just have my least favorites and favorites. I don't dislike any of them. Some rank a little bit lower. But like Dylan, Caitlin, definitely on my tops. Nick, Jacob, kind of on the lower. Sorry, but like, toxic masculinity doesn't get higher on the ranking, sorry. I don't want any of them to die, but that is not what this video is about. And I won't be inserting any deaths that didn't happen in the game, just to make the timeline more correct and make it more reasonable. And I tried to make the scene that they die in make sense, as it wouldn't make sense if one dies from a situation that they're more skilled or talented in. So even if one is kind of more likely based on skill to die first, they might die later based on the circumstances. Looking at these dynamics and the timeline of possible deaths, I think the first likely death would be Jacob. In chapter 6, Jacob runs into a bear trap, and you can either try to pull your foot out or try to pry the bear trap open. And if you do pull and fail, then he will fall headfirst into another bear trap and have his head crash. And now, I don't mean to be so mean to Jacob, and I would like to put this in the nicest way, but Jacob is one of the dumbest Jacob is one of the dumbest counselors in this game, and I don't know how else to put it.
I thought you were an ultra elite pro marksman.
Yeah, with like a rifle.
Whoa,
okay, not
dude,
with this freaking cannon blaster.
That is how you get someone shot.
I was trying to figure out how he would be killed by a werewolf, but the more that I looked into it, the more I'm like, why does it just make more sense that Jacob would run into a bear trap and die from that? Because he kind of just gets in his own way a lot. He doesn't always think stuff through, and I think he would just kind of panic in this situation and unfortunately accidentally end his life. Even just based off of Jacob's like personality, it does kind of seem like he would be the most likely to die first anyway. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna feel bad for this entire list. I want everybody to survive. I don't want this. But I'm making this video. It's my fault that I've done this. Then I think the next death would happen in the pool shed. Abby is forced to shoot Nick if she wants to survive, but I think at this point in the story, she wouldn't fully be confident in what she saw. Because yes, she did see the werewolf, but it was very dark, moving very fast. I get the sense that Abby would be more concerned about her friend Nick than believing what she saw, which I can't blame her for that, of course, but I do think that means that she wouldn't shoot Nick when he's starting to act very strange. Because I mean, yeah, he's being real fucking weird, but like, why would you believe somebody to be like a literal supernatural being? So I think she doesn't shoot him, and then he wolfs out and rips her head off. And I do hate to say this because I think Abby would be a little bit more likely to live a little bit longer than some of these people. I wouldn't say most, but I'd say some of these other people. Just because I do think she is smart. She does look at situations with a reasonable lens, but at the same time, just based on the storyline, it would make most sense for it to happen here. And then the next one I think would be Emma. In chapter 4, Emma encounters a werewolf, and I think that, listen, I've met a lot of actors, and like, sure, different acting takes different skills, but if you're like a theater actor, you gotta learn how to be quick. I mean, you gotta go back there, change into a different costume in 5 seconds, and be back out on stage to sing. So I think that she would be like fast, nimble, and I think she would be able to survive this attack, but I think she would get bitten during this attack. Now, at this point, she'll make her way to the broken down van where she will bunker down in and unfortunately turn into a werewolf inside. So when Caitlin and Dylan approach this vehicle, they are attacked by werewolf Emma. And I think that Caitlin would be forced to use a silver bullet on her.
Abby actually does have to be alive for Caitlin to get a silver bullet to kill Emma. But in this situation, I'm just gonna kind of pretend that Caitlin had a silver bullet already. Just because I do think Emma would get out of the treehouse with the werewolf. And this would make the most sense to me.
Caitlin, the silver. Use the silver shell.
What if it's Nick?
What if it isn't?
I do think that Caitlin would be apprehensive to this. We do see some apprehension in her of her saying, like, maybe this is Nick, but I think it's the kind of situation where they can't really get out of it without ending the werewolf, or they will be infected or killed themselves. So I think Caitlin is kind of forced to do that, unfortunately, and this would be the point at which Emma dies, because Caitlin would think it through, but she would also make the hard decision, I think. Now, as I said, Nick's infection is unavoidable, so he will turn into a werewolf when he, I think, would kill Abby, and he is going to be kind of gone for most of the game, but there is one chance of him dying, which is when he is in one of the Hackett's cage. The Hackett's managed to capture him and put him in an electrified cage. When Laura and Ryan are going down through there to get to the Hackett house, they come across this cage, and if you don't, as Ryan, stop Laura from shooting, she will just shoot Nick, questioning that it might be Chris.
Laura, what have you done?
Then next up is Dylan. In chapter 5, him and Ryan go to the radio hut to try to contact somebody and are ambushed by the werewolf Silas. And Dylan does end up getting bit. Dylan urges Ryan to cut off his hand to stop the spread of the infection, which he's technically correct because it does stop the infection from spreading, and like he isn't infected once his hand is cut off, so he won't turn into a werewolf, but at the same time, it isn't a death sentence, because as long as they kill Silas, he'll be cured, but it's still technically like not wrong, I guess. But I think Ryan wouldn't do this. Yes, Ryan does want to prove himself and kind of be the hero, but at the same time, the way that Dylan saw Nick's injury and immediately went to amputation, and Ryan was like,
That black stuff? That's infection. It's spreading. This is bad. This is really bad, dude.
We should cut it off before the infection spreads.
What? Why would we do that?
I don't know, man. Look at that black stuff.
What do you think it is?
Do I look like a doctor?
I think Ryan would not cut off his hand, being like, you're probably like just freaking out, overreacting, like I'm not gonna do that.
But for the purposes of this video, I am gonna have Ryan cut off his hand, because the next place that I think Dylan would die, if Dylan is infected, then the werewolf won't kill him.
Are you sure? Yes, fucking do it! Fucking do it!
So by chapter 9, Dylan and Caitlin get to the scrapyard for parts for the car, and they are attacked. Dylan is tasked with saving Caitlin. There are a number of ways that the two of them can get out, or one of them can die. But in this case, I think Dylan would be flustered and accidentally do the choices to attract the werewolf to him. And if you fail enough QTEs, then he will die by werewolf.
I think this makes sense because Dylan does kind of panic a little bit when stuff happens. It kind of might be like a little bit of self-sabotage, just by the way that he kind of prefers to save other people than himself. Failing of the QTEs would be like the story version of Dylan subconsciously self-sacrificing so Caitlin can live. Now, Max. Chapter 10, Max wakes up. He's been a werewolf this entire time, doesn't know what is going on. He wakes up on the island and is like, where am I? What is happening?
What the fuck? Why am I on top of a fucking tree?
And he can decide to either stay on the island or go to the shore and try to find Laura. And based on his like golden retriever energy and the fact that like because of his rejection letter he hasn't been like feeling the self-confidence that he needs, I think he would go looking for Laura and would then get shredded to pieces by Caleb. And this scene does technically happen after the next two deaths, but based on the timeline, they would kind of be at the same time. And I just put Max's first because I'm so sorry, but like, the last people that are left are pretty smart people, and if Max maybe had a chance to die earlier, I think he might have. Maybe it's just my bias because that character is named after a particular person, but I do think that it makes sense. Now the three finalists are Laura, Ryan, and Caitlin. And out of those three, I think the first to die would be Laura. And I really do hate to say this because I think Laura is such a badass. Like, she is really cool, really determined, and such a strong fighter. But at the same time, I think Laura would be the type to be combative towards the sheriff.
Hey, did I say you could talk to each other?
I wasn't aware we needed your permission, Detective Dick Whippet.
Yeah, it's a free country, Officer Oat. For brains.
Which, totally understandable because he does arrest them for unlawful reasons. I mean, I understand why he does it, but it's still unlawful and like they don't know why they're locked up. So it is unjustified to them. So it does make sense that she would get on his bad side. So then by the time that they confront each other again, Travis is pissed enough that after they kill Chris and take the curse off of Laura and like a bunch of other counselors, that she would be killed by Travis because of how angry he is at her. My belief is backed up by Max, who is concerned if Laura doesn't stand up to the cop like he thinks she would.
Max, calm down. You're only making it worse.
Laura, what the hell did you do to her?
Shut up.
And unfortunately, this would also mean that Travis tries to attack Ryan, who is also there. I do think Ryan would succeed in shooting Travis, even if he wouldn't want to, just because, like, his life is literally being threatened right there. But there is a special scene that after this, Bobby will be pissed enough to kill Ryan himself. And I think that makes the most sense because, I mean, you can clearly tell who's going to be the final person based off of this list now. But I think Ryan and Caitlin are quite neck and neck on who would be the final survivor because they both have hero energy. They're both confident to a fault, pretty strong, smart. But I think Caitlin would be the final girl because of several reasons. Caitlin is the most weapon-oriented.
Blam, you thought this was over?
What the? Whoa.
And not that, like, every story has the most skilled person be the main protagonist, but I think in this case, it would make the most sense because she is the most skilled, she is the most quick-witted, she is also kind of the most confident in a way. And I mean that because she's confident, but she's not like overly stubborn. Because I think Laura can be like a little bit overconfident because she's focused on her mission and doesn't really think of anything besides that. It's a little self-centered. And then as far as Ryan, I just think Caitlin would have more of the mental fortitude to keep going than Ryan, because Ryan does at certain points give the vibe of wanting to give up. He kind of can if you have him choose to do that. Overall, even if you don't choose it, I do think he kind of has that energy a little bit. He wants to, and he wants to survive. He wants everybody to survive, but he's just so tired, which I can't blame him. I of course can't, you know, be upset for that emotion, but I do think that could affect him more than it would affect Caitlin. So I think in the end, Caitlin would be the sole survivor.
You play with me?
And unfortunately, since Laura was killed by Travis, that would mean that Silas is still out there and there's still a few people cursed. But maybe Caitlin would be able to solve that the next full moon. If this was the case, that, like, say there was a sequel where, like, this was the, like, canon ending, that it would make more sense for Caitlin to not be infected, because then it would be a great starting point for her next full moon to go out and get Silas, but she couldn't do that if she was infected. Obviously a story can end as a tragedy, so maybe like she could be infected, but based on this like headcanon of mine right now, I do think that she would get out of it uninfected and would survive the night as the sole survivor. But I do want to know what you guys think. Do you think that I made some people die too early? Like, do you think that the game's timeline fits in with it or not, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm definitely interested on who you would think would be the sole survivor if there was one. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. I will leave a link to my Quarry playlist down below. And please subscribe if you want to see more deep dives into this video game universe. I'm Nicole Bryn. Have a good night.